but I didn't do enough. I play well enough for us to win, and that's it.
All right, Jeff Saturday back with us now on SportsCenter. Jeff, Cleveland was missing 4 wide receivers yesterday, but only gave running backs Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt a combined 15 carries. What'd you make of that strategy?
Yeah, I am not a fan of the strategy, right? And I understand, Stefanski and everybody's going to tell you, well, they're going to load up the box and try to stop Chubb and Hunt because they know we don't have receivers. So, we're going to try to take advantage of matchups. But at the end of the day, you want your best players with the ball in their hand. And that is not what they did yesterday, right? When you don't allow Nick Chubb to get totes, and I don't care if there's 8 guys in the box. I don't care, what it looks like. When you put the ball in his hand, he has take it the distance capability, but I felt they never found rhythm, right? And it put Mayfield in a bad situation. And he's 100% correct, Jay. You can't fumble the ball. You can't get strip sacked. You can't give the ball up. All of those things are true. However, I would have liked to see them stick with what they have done and what has made them successful, which is pound the rock early, even if it's not pretty. Kind of that Tennessee Titans mentality that maybe not until late in the third, early in the fourth, things are going to kind of turn your way and then use play action. I felt like they relied way too much on Mayfield. And to his point, he didn't play well enough to win.
Yeah, Chubb and Hunt have been just wearing teams down all season long. Cleveland will be eliminated with a loss and wins by the Ravens and Colts in Week 17. Jeff Saturday, stand by. Don't go anywhere.
We have breaking news here on SportsCenter coming out of Washington, where the Washington football team is releasing quarterback Dwayne Haskins after a series of on-field and off-field issues. That, according to what sources are telling ESPN. Former first-round pick, actually selected 15th overall in the 2019 draft. He was benched in the fourth quarter of Sunday's loss at home to the Panthers. And Ron Rivera saying earlier today that Taylor Heineke would start next week if regular starter Alex Smith is not healthy. So Dwayne Haskins demoted on the depth chart, seemingly at the behest of Ron Rivera. And now news coming out of Washington that Dwayne Haskins will be released. Let's bring back Jeff Saturday for more on this. And Jeff, you see this sort of dizzying spiral here of a guy who was selected 15th overall in 2019, given an opportunity on the field. There were some off-field issues as well recently. And now this move. What's your reaction to how quickly this has come together?
Yeah, Ron Rivera's not messing around, man. I mean, listen, when you talk about performance on the field, that's one issue. When you talk about distractions off the field, and then you pair that with the type of performance he put on Sunday, Ron Rivera's just he's going to move on, and he's kind of got that old school mentality, man. He is a players first coach. Call him players coaches. I understand that, but man, when he doesn't feel like a guy is bought in, he is not afraid to make a move and make a change. And it's disappointing. I know where his mind was, thinking that they could build in and kind of play under Alex Smith. But I'm assuming all of this truly stems from the distractions in the locker room. We know about the COVID issues and what happened last week and not wearing a mask. Those kinds of things from the guy who you expect to ultimately run your franchise just become too large of a burden for a team like the Washington football team to carry. And he's seen what Chase Young, right? Think about Chase Young on the other side of the ball. I think they just put a C on his chest, right? They just made this guy a captain this late in the season. So it's kind of a tale of two different, rookies, right? A rookie this year and a rookie last year are two high picks. One's a captain that gets stripped of it. One's a captain made late. It just shows you the difference. And Ron Rivera just decided it was time to move on.
And two guys who go back to Ohio State together, right? In Chase Young and Dwayne Haskins. And that C that's on Chase Young's chest comes off of the jersey of Dwayne Haskins. We're rolling this video here from this season. From this season of Dwayne Haskins with that captaincy, and that was stripped and now is seemingly on his way out of Washington after this news that he's going to be released. I want to ask you about distractions off the field for Haskins, not from Haskins, but for him. Given the locker rooms you've been around, when you see a guy who's drafted to his hometown, I mean, this is where he played his high school ball before going to Ohio State. How difficult can that be for someone that young with that much responsibility, but also with that much going on around him in an area that he knows so well?
Yeah, it's professional football for a reason, right, Randy? Like you have to learn to build, have insulators, right, where you can't be gotten to unless it's on your terms and in the best case scenarios. I mean, listen, I can remember Peyton Manning, and he didn't leave Indy, right? I mean, he stayed tight knit. He could have easily went back to Tennessee or Louisiana, New Orleans, you name it, right? He could have went anywhere. But what did he decide to do? He decided to build relationship with his teammates. Aaron Rodgers is no different in Green Bay. I mean, these guys understand what team development truly looks like. There can't be a lot of outside voices, Randy, and it's disappointing when you see a young kid make these type of mistakes because he was given opportunities and then given more opportunities. And so I'm hoping that he learns from this. If somebody else gives him an opportunity or a chance, that he learns, listen, there's some things that you can't deal with when you're trying to play professional football. It is a full-time job. You're raising, you're getting up early and going to bed late, focusing and studying on one thing in particular. He just hadn't learned that quite yet.
All right, that's Jeff Saturday with the insight here is, again, the news out of Washington. Dwayne Haskins set to be released by the Washington football team. Thank you, Jeff.
Against the Colts to win 28-24, clinching the AFC North title for the first time since 2017 and their 7th under head coach Mike Tomlin. Ryan, you have been down on the Steelers, and understandably so, but what is your confidence level now in the team after what you saw from them yesterday?
I mean, Charlie, why'd you have to put it like that? Why couldn't I just be asked the questions without bringing up the fact that I've been down on it?
I like to preface things. I like to give some background information.
I know it could have been like, RC, how do you feel? Go. I think, obviously, expectations.
I said understandably so. I backed you up.
I think, expectations are obviously the largest leaders of disappointment. Right? When you have expectations and you think a team is a certain thing or you think someone's a certain thing and then they let you down, now you're disappointed. Well, I have been disappointed the last 3 weeks. And so now I was kind of at the point I got to with Birdman when he was rapping with Cash Money. I always expected Birdman's verse to ruin the song. Like you could go Wheezy first and then you could have Drake. But so what they started to do was put Birdman in the middle of both of them. So you wanted to listen to Wheezy first or Drake first, and then you wanted to listen to one of them at the end. So you just got through it. That's kind of where I am with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't expect this team to be able to win a playoff game. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't expect this team.
Are you asking what happened to those boys?
I am. Right. Now, rub my head, and the clips are there. Absolutely.
Try to throw in a reference
I like
there.
That, Charlie. And so now, you see this team and you have a great second half and you protect Ben Roethlisberger. And now you actually start to push the ball down the field. But here comes my confusion. Who was that? Was that Randy Fichtner plan? Did he now understand that you got to protect Ben Roethlisberger and we have to try to push the ball downfield instead of this kind of dink and dunk, hit the short pass, get yards after the catch? Or was that Ben Roethlisberger? Was that Ben saying, you know what, I'm running the offense now. They sped the pace up. They got out of the huddle quicker. They did some no huddle. They did some hurrying up to the line, and that helped this team. And then defensively, you saw what happens when you make Phillip Rivers play quarterback. He doesn't always quarterback the best he can. So I do feel better than I felt last week, where I felt like this team had no opportunity to beat a playoff caliber or playoff level team. But I'm not in the same place I was when I thought that they were the largest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs, when I thought that Ben Roethlisberger could stand across the field for Patrick Mahomes and go toe-to-toe, or that this defense could get in Patrick Mahomes' face enough to cause him enough confusion to make him have enough problems where this team could win. And so where you are encouraged that they had a good second half, you don't feel any differently about their chances to win the Super Bowl. And when you play for Pittsburgh, that's the bottom line. And today, they haven't met that standard.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're comparing everybody to Kansas City, you could say that about everybody. But I do feel a lot more confident for the Steelers because of what Ben was able to do in the second half. I know it's just one half, but it's showing a capability that I didn't know he still had. Like, he was awesome in passes for more than 10 yards down the field, and very impressive in passes for more than 20 yards down the field. That's stuff that I thought was no longer in his game, and that's stuff you're going to need. And it was in a situation while you're down 17 points, I think, at one point, so the defense knows you're going to have to throw the ball, and he is completing those passes with confidence. It's something that I thought was out of their game. They're going to have to be able to do that, and no one's going to out-defense the Chiefs. Like, that's not how you're going to win. You're not going to win by shutting down the Chiefs, even though we saw the Cardinals seem to do it recently. If your game plan is we're going to stop Patrick Mahomes, you're going to lose. Your game plan needs to be that we're going to score with them and try to slow them down and create some mistakes. And I think that the Steelers have enough personnel. If that second half wasn't just an aberration, maybe Ben was saving it. He just been saving it all year. Like, I'm not going to waste this arm in the regular season. I'm going to save it until I get my big moment, and they need to see it. And now they see it because it seemed like it's something that he could do. It just, he hasn't done it yet.
I mean, you think back early on in the season, right? You go back to the Philadelphia game, kind of when we started to see Chase Claypool break out, and we thought all to ourselves, oh, my goodness, this might be the best rookie wide receiver that was drafted. We saw some of those things from Ben during that time, and then they kind of hit this lull probably after the Baltimore Ravens games where we didn't see that same type of offense. Right. And now when you lose a Bud Dupree, when you lose a Devin Bush on defense, obviously you get Vince Williams back. We got to see the second half, some pressure up front. You saw the turnover by Mike Hilton. All of those things were kind of reminiscent of how they were winning games early on this season. But even when they were doing that, there was always that question in your mind, what kind of happens when the bottom falls out of this team? You know, and we saw that against the Washington football team in the second half. We saw that against Buffalo, and we saw that against Cincinnati. I think they have to play all of their guys and truly try to win this game against the Cleveland Browns, even though they clinched the division, because it's important that they keep this thing rolling.
Right. I think to bring back to your New Orleans analogy, I think the game changed on them. And just like the game changed on Birdman. And I love New Orleans, and New Orleans has some great rappers. But at one point, let's be honest, at one point, what Birdman was putting out there was acceptable New Orleans rap lyric content. And then the game changed.